This is an audio-visual presentation on statistics. Statistics deals with how data is A. collected. Statistics also deals with how data is B. grouped together in a suitable way for graphical representation. And statistics also deals with how data is interpreted mathematically. Now, the graphical representation of data. With the graphical representation of data, we are going to consider the pie chart, the bar chart, and the histogram. Now, we start with the pie chart. A pie chart is used to represent a given information or data pictorially using the sectors of a circle. I repeat, a pie chart is used to represent a given information or data pictorially using the sectors of a circle. Now, these are the steps that we are going to follow in the construction of a pie chart. Step number 1. Find the total of the category values. Step number 2. Calculate the angle of each category. The angle of each category is equal to category value divided by the sum of category values times 360 degrees. 3. You draw the sectors on the circle diagram. Now let's go through the steps again. Step number 1. Find the total of the category values. Step number 2. You calculate the angle of each category. And how do you calculate the angle of each category? The angle of each category is equal to the category value divided by the sum of category values times 360 degrees. Then step number 3, you draw the sectors on the circle diagram. So these are the steps that we are going to follow in the construction of a pie chart. These are the steps you are going to obey or follow in the construction of a pie chart. Now, let's take a look at this example and see how best we can obey the steps given to construct the pie chart. The following table shows the distribution of voters in an election for class prefects. The following table shows the distribution of voters in an election for class prefects. Now, this is the given table. We have the names and the frequency. We have Akwe, Bokwe, and Kome. Now, the frequency is 6, 12, and 18 respectively. That means that Akwe had 6 votes, Bokwe had 12 votes, and Kome had 18 votes. Now, the question: draw a pie chart to illustrate the information. What fraction of the vote was cast for Bokwe? So from the table, we have the names and the frequency. Akwe's frequency is 6. That means that the number of votes cast for Akwe is 6. Bokwe's frequency is 12. That means that the number of votes cast for Bokwe is 12. And Kome's frequency is 18. That means that the number of votes cast for Kome is 18. Now we are asked to draw a pie chart to illustrate the information. And 2, what fraction of the vote was cast for Bokwe? Now let's see how best we can solve this problem. Now, solution. The total number of votes is equal to 6 plus 12 plus 18. That's the total frequency from the table. So the total number of votes is equal to 6 plus 12 plus 18, and it's equal to 36. Take note that the angle of a circle is equal to 360 degrees because one complete revolution is equivalent to 360 degrees. So the angle of a circle is equal to 360 degrees. Now, we construct another table. We have the names, we have the frequency, and we have the angle of a sector, because we have to calculate the angle of the sector. Now, considering Akwi, the number of votes cast for Akwi is 6. So if you want to know the angle of sector for Akwi, you have to divide the number of votes for Akwi by the total number of votes times the angle of the circle, that is 360 degrees. So the angle of sector for Akwi will be 6 divided by the total number of votes, that is 36, times the angle of a circle, that is 360, and the answer is 60 degrees. That means that the angle of sector for Akwi equals 60 degrees. Now we consider Bokwe. The number of votes cast for Bokwe is 12. So if you want to calculate the angle of sector for Bokwe, you divide the 12 by the total number of votes, that is 36. Then you multiply your answer by the angle of a circle, that is 360 degrees. And the answer equals 120 degrees. Now we come to Kome. The total number of votes cast for Kome is 18. And so if you want to know the angle of sector for Kome, you divide the total number of votes cast for Kome, that is 18, by the total number of votes, 36, times the angle of a circle, that is 360 degrees. And the answer is 180 degrees. That means that the angle of sector for Akwi is 60 degrees. The angle of sector for Bokwe is 120 degrees. And the angle of sector for Kome is 180 degrees. So we have the angle of sectors for Akwi, Bokwe, and Kome. Now let's continue. So this is our pie chart. This is our pie chart. This is how we construct our pie chart. This is how we construct our pie chart. So initially we have to draw a circle of a reasonable radius. We have to draw a circle of a reasonable radius. Now when we go to the table, we can see that the angle of sector for Kome is 180 degrees. The angle of sector for Kome is 180 degrees. So when you come to the diagram, you can see that we have a straight line. That is the diameter of the circle. The diameter is the line that divides a circle into two equal halves. And so because the angle of sector for Kome from the table is 180 degrees, that is why Kome is occupying the region below the diameter. So Kome is occupying the whole region below the diameter, because the angle that a straight line makes is 180 degrees. And from the table, the angle of sector for Kome is 180. So Kome is occupying the whole region below the diameter of the circle. So this is the region for Kome. Now let's continue. The angle of sector for Akwi is 60 degrees from the table. The angle of sector for Akwi, after calculation, we are 60 degrees. So with the help of the protractor, you measure the angle 60 degrees and draw your line to touch the circumference of the circle as shown. And the angle is 60 degrees for Akwi. So this region is the region for Akwi. Now we continue. We also measure the angle of sector for Bokwe, and after calculation, the angle of sector for Bokwe gives us 120 degrees. And so we measure the angle 120 degrees. So this region is also for Bokwe, and this is how the pie chart is constructed. This is how the pie chart is constructed. And take note, when you add all these three angles, it must be equal to the angle of a circle. That is, when we add 180 degrees, the angle of the sector for Kome, plus 60 degrees, that's the angle of the sector for Akwi, plus 120 degrees, that's the angle of the sector for Bokwe, it is equal to 360 degrees. So you can do that and find out. So this is our pie chart. This is our pie chart. Now the fraction of votes that was cast for Bokwe, you were asked to find the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe. So the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe is equal to the number of votes cast for Bokwe divided by the total number of votes cast. I repeat, the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe is equal to the number of votes cast for Bokwe divided by the total number of votes cast. Now from the table, the number of votes cast for Bokwe equals 12 and the total number of votes cast equals 36. And so if you want to find the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe, then we are dividing the number of votes cast for Bokwe, that is 12, by the total number of votes cast for the total number of votes cast, and that is 36. And so the answer is 12 divided by 36, and this is equal to 1/3. That means that the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe is equal to 1/3. Or alternatively, the fraction of votes cast for Bokwe is also equal to the angle of Bokwe divided by the total angle. Now the angle of sector for Bokwe is 120 degrees, and the angle of the circle, that's the total angle, is equal to 360 degrees. So if you want to find the fraction of votes that was cast for Bokwe, we can divide the angle of Bokwe by the total angle, that is 120 degrees divided by 360 degrees, and this is also equal to 1/3. So you have the same answer. This is the alternative approach. This is an alternative approach. Now, exercise. The following data gives the monthly budget of a man. The following data gives the monthly budget of a man. Now, this is the table. We have the item and the amount used. The items are, we have the food, we have rent, and we have savings. And these are the amounts used. We have 100 Ghana cedis, 50 Ghana cedis, 50 Ghana cedis respectively. That means that the amount used on food is equal to 100 Ghana cedis. The amount used on rent is equal to 50 Ghana cedis. And the amount used on savings is equal to 50 Ghana cedis. Now, these are the questions. Draw a pie chart to illustrate the information. Then what fraction of the monthly budget is spent on rent? What fraction of the monthly budget is spent on rent? That is, after drawing the pie chart to illustrate the information, we now find the fraction of the monthly budget that was spent on rent. Now, this is the pie chart. This is the pie chart. So I give this to you as an exercise to use the information in the table to construct the pie chart. And you could see that the angle for food is equal to 180. The angle for rent is equal to 90 degrees, and the angle for savings will give you 90 degrees. This is for you to draw the pie chart using the information given in the table. And this is the pie chart that you are supposed to get at the end of the problem solving. Now, when you calculate the fraction on the monthly budget spent on rent, when you calculate the fraction on the monthly budget spent on rent, the answer is 1/4. So for your exercise, you are supposed to find out how we arrived at the answer 1 divided by 4. That is 1/4. Now, interpretation of pie chart. So the pie chart below shows that. Now, with the interpretation of pie chart, you'll be given the pie chart and you'll be asked to answer some questions. That is what we mean by the interpretation of pie chart. That is, you are given the pie chart and you use the information given in the pie chart to answer the questions that follow. So the pie chart below shows the distribution of books borrowed from a school library by some students. The number of mathematics books borrowed was 228. I repeat, the pie chart below shows the distribution of books borrowed from a school library by some students. The number of mathematics books borrowed was 228. Now, this is the given pie chart. We have mathematics, economics, we have physics and biology. Economics, mathematics, biology, and physics. Now the angles are given, are shown. The angles are given. The angle for mathematics is 95 degrees. The angle for biology is 80 degrees. The angle for physics is 70 degrees. And the angle for economics is not given. And we are also given an angle 50 degrees. Now let's see how best we can answer the questions that follow. Use this information to answer the questions that follow. What is the value of the angle that represents economics? What is the value of the angle that represents economics? II. Find the total number of books borrowed. Find the total number of books borrowed. III. What percentage of books borrowed does biology represent? What percentage of books borrowed does biology represent? Now we look at the solution. "95 degrees corresponds to mathematics." That is, the angle for mathematics is 95 degrees. The angle for biology is 80 degrees. The angle for physics is 70 degrees. And the angle for economics is not given. Now we were asked to find what the value, that is, what is the value of the angle that represents economics. Now let's see how best we can solve that problem. What is the value of the angle that represents economics? Now, solution I. The total angle of a circle we know is equal to 360 degrees. The angle that represents economics will be equal to 360 minus the sum of all the angles. Take note that the angle for economics is not given, and that is what we are calculating for. But we are giving 4 other angles. So when we add angle 95 to 80 degrees to 90 degrees to 50 degrees, and we subtract it from the total angle of a circle, that will give us the angle for economics. That will give us the angle for economics, because the total is equal to 360. The total is equal to 360. So if you are given 4 of the angles and we are not given the 5th angle, that means that when we add the 4 together and we subtract it from the total angle of a circle, that is 360 degrees, we can have the angle for economics. And so the angle that represents economics is equal to 360 minus 95 degrees plus 80 plus 70 plus 50. Now 95 plus 80 plus 70 plus 50 is equal to 295. And therefore we have 360 minus 295, and this is equal to 65 degrees. So the angle that represents economics is equal to 360 minus 295, and the answer is 65 degrees. That is all. So that is how we calculate the angle that represents economics. We add all the angles given and we subtract it from 360, and that will give us the angle that is not given, that is economics. So the angle that represents economics is equal to 65 degrees. Now back to the question. II. Find the total number of books borrowed. Find the total number of books borrowed. Now let's see how best we can find the total number of books borrowed. The angle that represents mathematics is equal to 95 degrees from the pie chart given. The angle that represents mathematics is equal to 95 degrees from the pie chart given. The total number of books borrowed is equivalent to 360 degrees. Take note, the total number of books borrowed is equivalent to 360 degrees. Now, from the question, the number of mathematics books borrowed is 228, and the angle of sector for mathematics is equal to 95 degrees. That means that by proportion, we can write that 95 degrees is equal to 228 books, and therefore 360 degrees is equal to x, and the x will give us the total number of books borrowed. X will give us the total number of books borrowed. Now by cross multiplication, 95 times x will give us 95x on the left hand side, and this is equal to, we also multiply 360 by 228, and so we have 360 times 228. Now we are solving for x, so we divide both sides of the equation by 95. When we divide 95x by 95, the answer is x. And when we divide the right hand side by 95, we have 360 times 228 by 95. And the answer is 864 books. That means that the total number of books borrowed is equal to 864 books. The total number of books borrowed is equal to 864 books. I go over this again. When you look at the table, the angle of sector for mathematics is equal to 95 degrees. And from the question, we were told that the number of mathematics books borrowed is 228. And therefore, the angle of sector, 95 degrees for mathematics, is equivalent to the number of mathematics books borrowed. So 95 degrees is equal to 228 books. That means that 360 degrees is equal to x, where x represents the total number of books borrowed. So by proportion, we solve for x. Now we have to cross multiply. So 95 times x equals 95x. We have 360 degrees times 228. And that is how come we have 360 times 228. Now we are solving for x. So we divide the left hand side by 95. And we divide the right hand side also by 95. And we have x on the left hand side is equal to 360 times 228 divided by 95. And the answer is 864 books. That means that the total number of books borrowed is 864 books. Now, the percentage of books borrowed represented by biology. We are asked to calculate the percentage of books borrowed represented by biology. Now, when you consider the angle of biology, the angle of biology equals 80 degrees from the pie chart as shown. The angle of biology equals 80 degrees. And if you want to know the percentage of books borrowed that represent biology, is equal to the angle of biology divided by the total angle times 100, because we are considering the percentage. Take note. So if you want the percentage of books borrowed represented by biology, it is the angle of biology divided by the total angle times 100. And the angle of biology is equal to 80 from the diagram as shown. So we divide the angle of biology, that is 80, by the total angle, that is 360. The total angle is 360. So 80 divided by 360 times 100 will be equal to 22.22%. 22.22%. So that is the percentage of books borrowed that represent biology. The percentage is 22.22. The answer is 22.22%. Now let's consider the bar chart. A bar chart is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. The frequencies are represented by a series of parallel bars of equal width, one bar for each category. A bar chart is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. The frequencies are represented by a series of parallel bars. The frequencies are represented by a series of parallel bars of equal width, one bar for each category. Now let's look at this example. The table below gives the frequency distribution of the marks obtained in a class test by a group of 59 students. The table below gives the frequency distribution of the marks obtained in the class test by a group of 59 students. Now this is the table. We have the marks out of 10. So these are the marks and the frequency. So 9 students had 2 marks, 14 students had 3 marks, 13 students had 4 marks, 10 students had 5 marks, 5 students had 6 marks, and 8 students have 7 marks. So we have the marks and their frequency. That is the table given. Now these are the questions that follow. We have to draw a bar chart for the distribution. Then B, a student is chosen at random from the class. A student is chosen at random from the class. What is the probability that the student obtained 7 marks? What is the probability that the student obtained 3 marks? And what is the probability that the student obtained less than 4 marks? Now let's see how best we can solve this problem. This is the table that was given. We have the marks and we have the frequency. We have the marks and we have the frequency. So we go to the graph. Now this is our bar chart. This is our bar chart. This is our bar chart. So when we go to the table, the marks 2 correspond to the frequency 9. That means that 2 corresponds to the frequency 9. So we have 2 on the x-axis, we have 9 on the y-axis. Now back to the table again. Mark 3 corresponds to 14. So we have 3 also corresponding to 14 on the graph. Now when we go to the table, 4 corresponds to 13. So we have 4 also corresponding to 13 on the frequency axis. Now 5 corresponds to 10. So we go to the graph again. 5 corresponds to 10. Now back to the table, 6 also corresponds to 5. So we have 6 corresponding to 5. Now 7 also corresponds to 8. So 7 corresponds to 8. So this is our bar chart. This is our bar chart. Now B, I. The probability that the student obtained 7 marks. We have to find the probability that the student obtained 7 marks. Now let's go to the table and see the frequency for 7 marks. From the table, the frequency for 7 marks is equal to 8. And the total number of students is equal to 59. That means that the probability that the student obtained 7 marks is equal to 8 over 59. Is equal to 8 over 59. Now II, the probability that the student obtained 3 marks. So we also go to the table and see the number of students who obtained 3 marks. We go to the table to see the number of students who obtained 3 marks. Now from the table, the number of students who obtained 3 marks is equal to 14. And so we divide 14 by the total. And so the probability that the student obtained 3 marks is equal to 14 divided by the total, that is 59. Now III, the probability that the student obtained less than 4 marks. The probability that the student obtained less than 4 marks. So with less than 4 marks, let's go back to the table. Now there is the table. So if you are searching for students, the number of students who are less than 4 marks, that is 3 and 2, because this is the mark 4. So if you are searching for the number of students who are less than 4 marks, that means it's 3 marks and 2 marks. And the number of students who are 3 marks is 14. And the number of students who are 2 marks is 9. So the number of students who had less than 4 marks is 14 plus 9. It's 14 plus 9. So the probability that the student obtained less than 4 marks is equal to 14 plus 9 divided by 59. And 14 plus 9 is equal to 23. So this is equal to 23 divided by 59. Now we have the histogram. The histogram. It is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. The histogram is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. The vertical axis represents the frequencies, and the horizontal axis represents the description of the data. I repeat, the histogram is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. The vertical axis represents the frequencies, and the horizontal axis represents the description of the data. Now, example, the table below shows the height measured to the nearest meter of 300 trees. The table below shows the height measured to the nearest meter of 300 trees. Now, this is the table. We have the height and the number of trees. So 2 corresponds to 14, 3 corresponds to 21, 4 corresponds to 42, 5 corresponds to 83, 6 corresponds to 118, 7 corresponds to 12, 8 corresponds to 7, and 9 corresponds to 3. That's the height and the number of trees. Now draw a histogram to represent the data. Draw a histogram to represent the data. And this is our histogram. We have the height on the x-axis, and we have the number of trees, that's the frequency, on the y-axis. So this is the histogram. We starting from 1. Take note that this is the origin. Now starting from 1, let's go to the table and look at something. The height starts from 2, and the number of trees, that's the frequency, is 14. So when the height is 2, the frequency is 14. And so we starting from 1, we end at 2. And this region represents 2. So we have 2. Now when you look at 2, when the height is 2, from the table, when the height is 2, the number of trees that has the height of 2 is 14. That means that 2 corresponds to 14. So we have 2, that is this first region corresponding to 14 on the frequency axis. The height 3 corresponds to 21. That is 21 trees correspond to the height of 3. So 3 corresponds to 21. So we have 3 also corresponding to 21. 4 corresponds to 42. So we also have 4 corresponding to 42 on the frequency axis. 5 corresponds to 83. So we have 5 corresponding to 83 on the frequency axis. 6 corresponds to 118. So 6 also corresponds to 118 on the frequency axis. 7 corresponds to 12. So 7 corresponds to 12 on the frequency axis. That is 7. 8 corresponds to 7. So we have 8 corresponding to 7 on the frequency axis. And 9 corresponds to 3. So we have 9 also corresponding to 3 on the frequency axis. So this is our histogram. This is our histogram. Take note that with the histogram there are no spaces between the bars. With the histogram there are no spaces between the bars, as in the case of the bar chart. With the histogram there are no spaces between the bars. So this is our histogram. Now, measures of central tendency. The measures of central tendency are the averages of the frequency distribution, and these averages are the mean, the mode, and the median. These averages are the mean, the mode, and the median. Now let's start with the mean. The mean of a set of numbers or values x1, x2, x3 up to xn is the average of the numbers. So if you are finding the mean of a set of numbers or values, the mean is given by the sum of all the values divided by the number of terms. So the mean, that is x bar, is equal to the summation of x, that is sigma x, also known as the summation. So the mean that's the x bar, is equal to the summation of x divided by n, where n represents the number of terms, or the number of x values, or the number of values. So the mean is given by summation of x divided by n. Example, find the mean of the set of numbers 3, 9, 11, 28, 37, and 20. So we can see that n, that's the number of values. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number n is equal to 6. Now solution. These are the numbers that was given. So the mean is the summation of all the values divided by the number of terms. So we add all the numbers. So that is why x bar, that is the mean, is equal to 3 plus 9 plus 11 plus 28 plus 37 plus 20 divided by 6. And when we add all these numbers, the answer is 108. So divide by 6. How did we get a 6? That's the number of terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is n. So x bar, that is the mean, is equal to 108 divided by 6, and the answer is 18. That means that the mean of the given numbers is 18. That is how we find the mean of values of numbers given. Exercise. Find the mean of the set of numbers 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 8, 8, 9. So these are the values given. Now the number of terms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So n is equal to 8 because the number of values is equal to 8. So if you want to find the mean, you divide the sum of all these values by the number 8 and the answer will come out. This is your exercise. This is your exercise to solve. So the hint, the x bar, that is the answer you get at the end of the exercise, should be 5.625. So the mean is equal to 5.625. Now let's look at how we can calculate the mean from a frequency distribution table. Calculating the mean from a frequency distribution table. If the values x1, x2, x3 up to xn occurs with frequencies f1, f2, f3 up to fn respectively, then the mean is given by x bar is equal to summation fx divided by summation f. That is the sum of all the fx values divided by the sum of all the f values, where the f is the frequency and the x are the values. So that is how we calculate the mean from a frequency distribution table. X bar, that is the mean, is given by summation of fx divided by summation f. Now let's proceed. Let's take a look at this example and see how best we can find the mean from the table. The frequency table below gives the ages of people in the class. The frequency table below gives the ages of people in the class. So we have the age in years and this is the frequency. So the number of students who are 14 years in the class is 10. 35 students are 15 years in the class. 7 students are 16 years. 5 of the students are 17 years. And 3 of the students are 18 years. So we have the ages and the frequency. So age 14 corresponds to frequency 10. Age 15 corresponds to 35. 16 corresponds to 7. 17 corresponds to 5. And 18 corresponds to 3. Now how many people are in the class? Take note that if you want to know the number of people who are in the class, you have to add the frequencies together. So we are asked how many people are in the class. Calculate the mean average. Calculate the mean average from the table. Now solution. The number of people in the class is obtained by adding all the frequency. Please don't add the ages. You rather add the frequencies. Let's go back to the table and let me show you what I mean by that. If you want to know the number of people who are in the class, you have to add all the frequencies together. That is 10 plus 35 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3. That will give you the number of people in the class. Not the ages, but rather the frequencies. And so the number of pupils in the class is equal to 10 plus 35 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3. And that's equal to 60. That means that the number of pupils in the class is equal to 60. Now to find the mean, we form the table below. To find the mean, we form the table below. Now this is the table. We have the age, we have the frequency, and we have our fx. Now the age is the x. We have the frequency, that's the number of students, and we have fx, that is the frequency times the age. Now 10 corresponds to 14, 35 corresponds to 15, 7 corresponds to 16, 5 corresponds to 17, and 3 corresponds to 18. That is the number of students who are 14 years old is 10. The number of students who are 15 years old is 35. The number of students who are 16 years old is 7. And the number of students who are 17 years old is 5. The number of students who are 18 years old is 3. So that is the frequency. Now, if you want the fx, we have to multiply our frequency by the ages. So 14 times 10 will give us 140. 15 times 35 will give us 525. 16 times 7 will give us 112. 17 times 5 is equal to 85. 18 times 3 is equal to 54. So if you want summation f, it means that you have to sum all the frequency. So 10 plus 35 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 is equal to summation f, and the answer is 60. Then let's sum all the fx values. These are the fx. The fx means that f times x, and that's what we have done. So fx, we have to sum all in order to get the summation of fx. So 140 plus 525 plus 112 plus 85 plus 54. That is summation of fx is equal to 916. So we know that the mean from the frequency table, the mean is given by summation fx divided by summation f. And from the table, summation fx is equal to 916 divided by summation f. From the table, summation f is equal to 60. Therefore, the mean, that is x bar, is equal to 916 divided by 60. And the mean is equal to 15.3. The mean is equal to 15.3. So that is how we calculate the mean from the frequency table. Now let's look at the mode. The mode of a set of numbers or values, that's the raw data. The mode of a set of numbers is the number which occurs most frequently. I repeat, the mode of a set of numbers is the number which occurs most frequently. Now let's look at this example. Find the mode of the following numbers. A, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5. B, 3, 2, 2, 4, 3, 5, 5, 2, 4, 2, 3. These are the numbers, and we have to find the mode of the following numbers. Now let's look at the solution to this problem. These were the numbers given. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5. Now when you look at the numbers given, you can see that it is the 3 that occurs most. The 3 occurs frequently. So we have 3, 3, 3. That's the 3 occurs 3 times. So the number that occurs most is our mode. That means that the mode is 3. Now when we look at the number that occurs most is 2. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 2 occurs 4 times. And that's the number that occurs most. And since the mode is the number that occurs most frequently, that means that the mode is 2. That means that the mode is 2. Now let's look at how we can find the mode from a frequency table. That is on group data. The mode is the value of the highest frequency. The mode is the value of the highest frequency. Now take note that the mode is the value, not the frequency. The mode is the value, not the frequency. Now let's consider this example. The frequency table below shows the number of children in each of the 30 families. What is the mode of the data? What is the mode of the data? Now we have the number of children and we have the number of families. We have number of children and the number of families. So 0 corresponds to 3. 1 corresponds to 9. 2 corresponds to 11. 3 corresponds to 4. 4 corresponds to 2 and 5 corresponds to 1. So we have the number of children and the number of families. So that means that 3 families had 0 children. So there is no children in 3 families. The 9 families had only 1 child. So these are the number of families. These are the number of families and these are the number of children. So 11 families have 2 children. 4 families had 3 children. 2 families had 4 children and 1 family had 5 children. So these are the number of families and the number of children from the table. Now let's proceed. So we have the number of children and the number of families from the table. This is given in the question. Now let's look at how best we can solve the problem. The largest frequency is 11. Now when we look at the frequency, that's the number of families. The number of families is the frequency. So when you look at the frequency, the numbers, we have 3, 9, 11, 4, 2 and 1. The largest frequency is 11. So you can see that the largest frequency is 11 as seen from the table. So 11 families each has 2 children. That's 11 families each has 2 children. Has 2 children from the table. Therefore, the mode of the data is 2 children. So the mode is the number, not the frequency. Take note that the frequency is 11, but the number corresponding to the 11 is 2. So the mode is not the frequency 11, but the mode is the number. So the mode is 2. So the mode is 2. Therefore, the mode of the data is 2 children. Now let's look at the median. The median of a set of numbers or values. So we consider the median. 1. The median of a set of numbers. How do we find the median of a set of numbers? The median of a set of numbers is the middle value or the arithmetic mean of the 2 middle values if they are arranged in increasing order of magnitude. That means that if you are finding the median of a set of numbers, you have to arrange them in increasing order of magnitude. You have to arrange them in increasing order of magnitude. So we say the median of a set of numbers is the middle value or the arithmetic mean of the 2 middle numbers. Now let's see how best we can find median. We can solve for median. Now to find the median of a set of numbers, x1, x2, x3 up to xn, you first have to arrange the numbers in order of magnitude. That is from the least to the highest. Arrange the numbers in order of magnitude. Arrange it from the least to the highest. Then 2. If n is odd, that is the number of terms. If n is odd, if the number of terms n is an odd number, then the median is the middle item. Then the median is the middle item. Then the median is the middle item. That is half n plus 1 item or observation. Now, if n is even, then the median is the arithmetic mean of the 2 middle numbers. If n is even, then the median is the arithmetic mean of the 2 middle numbers. That is half n and half n plus 1 item. Now let's look at what you mean by this. Example, find the median of the following set of numbers. Example, find the median of the following set of numbers. I, 2, 1, 2, 3, 5. I, 2, 1, 3, 5, 4, 4. Now let's look at the solution and see how best we can find the median of the following set of numbers. Now, considering the first one, solution. From the question, we were given 2, 1, 2, 3, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 5. Now the first thing you have to do is to rearrange in order of magnitude. So let's arrange it from the least to the highest. So 1 will come first. So we have 1, 2, 2, 3, 5. Now let's look at the number of terms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number of terms is 5, and 5 is an odd number. 5 is an odd number. 5 is an odd number. So if you look at the median is given by half n plus 1 item. Now the n is equal to n 5. I repeat, after arrangement we have 1, 2, 2, 3, 5. Now because n, that is 5, is an odd number, the median is calculated using the relation. Median is equal to half n plus 1 item, and n has given us 5. So the median will be half the n equals 5. So we substitute 5 wherever we see n. So we have 5 plus 1. Now 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. So we have half of 6. And half of 6 is equal to 3. That is the third item. That is the third item. Now when we count, let's count till we get to the third item. So we have 1, 2, 3. And the third item is 2. That means that the median is 2. Now let me go over this again so that you can understand it better. After arrangement in order of magnitude, we had 1, 2, 2, 3, 5. And when we counted the number of terms, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 is an odd number. So if n equals 5, if the n is an odd number, then this is how we find the median. Median is half the n plus 1 item. And n has given us 5. So by substitution, we have half of 5 plus 1. And 5 plus 1 equals 6. So half of 6 equals 3. That is the third item. And when we count 1, 2, 3, the third item is 2. That means that the median is equal to 2. Now we were given 2, 1, 3, 5, 4, 4. 2, 1, 3, 5, 4, 4. So the first thing we have to do is to rearrange the numbers. So rearranging the numbers gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. That is in order of magnitude. We arrange it from the least to the highest. Take note, before you find the median, the first thing you have to do, that is when you are told to find the median of numbers, the first thing you have to do is to arrange the numbers in order of magnitude from the least to the highest. So instead of 2, 1, 3, 5, 4, 4, the arrangement gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Now let's count the number of terms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means that n is equal to 6. And 6 is an even number. So if the number of terms equals 6, if it's an even number, how do we find the median? Now let's proceed. The median is the mean of half n item and half n plus 1 item. In this case, n is equal to 6. Now let's proceed and see how best we can solve this problem. So half the nth item, and n equals 6, so half of 6 is equal to 3. So we have the third term. And the third term, let's count. 1, 2, 3. The third term is 3. Now, half n plus 1. Half of n, that is half of 6, because n gives us 6. So half of 6 is giving us 3. And we have 3 plus 1. So 3 plus 1 is giving us 4. That is the fourth item. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth item is 4. So these are the two middle numbers. We have to find the average of these numbers. Take note, you only solve it like this when the n is equal to even. So you find the half n item, and you find the half n plus 1 item, and you find the mean of the numbers. So half of 6 equals 3. That's the third term. And the third term is 1, 2, 3. That is 3. And half of 6 plus 1. Half of 6 is giving us 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4. And the fourth term, 1, 2, 3, 4, is also giving us 4. So these are the two middle numbers. These are the two middle numbers. Now let's proceed. So the median will be equal to half of 3 plus 4. That is half the two middle numbers. That is half the two middle numbers, 3 and 4. 3 and 4. So the median is half of 3 plus 4. And 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. And half of 7 is equal to 7 over 2. That is 3 and half. So 7 over 2 is an improper fraction. Converting this to mixed fraction, 2 goes into 7 3 times and the remainder is 1 over the denominator. So 7 over 2 is equal to 3 whole number 1 over 2. So that is how we find the median when the number n is even. Now we look at median from a frequency distribution table. Median from a frequency distribution table. How do we find the median when we are given the frequency distribution table? Let's take a look at this example. Find the median of x of the data below. Find the median of x of the data below. Now we are given the table x and f. We have the x values and this is the frequency. Now summation f, that is total frequency, will be 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3. So 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 is equal to 15. So the summation, the total frequency summation f is equal to 15. And we can see that 15 is an odd number. 15 is an odd number. So the median is equal to half 15 plus 1 observation. Half 15 plus 1 observation. That's when the total frequency is an odd number. That is how we find the median from the table. It's half the total frequency plus 1. And 15 plus 1 is 16. So half of 16, that is 16 over 2, is equal to 8. That is the 8th observation. That is the 8th observation. Now what we do is that we start addition from the frequency table. Now we start from 1 and add till we get to the 8th observation. Take note, because the summation of frequency is an odd number, this is how we find the median. Median is half summation f plus 1, and 15 plus 1 equals 18. 15 plus 1 is equal to 16. Take note, 15 plus 1 is equal to 16. So half of 16 equals 8, and that's the 8th observation. The 8th observation. So we start to count. We start to add the numbers from 1 till we get to the 8th observation. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. 3 plus 4 equals 7. And 7 plus 5 will give us 12. So the 8th observation is here because 1 plus 2 give us 3. 3 is less than 8. So we still add. 3 plus 4 is giving us 7. And 7 is still less than 8. So we still add. But when we add 5 to it, we are getting 12. So the 8th observation, we are here. And the number that corresponds to the 8th observation is 3. That means that the median is equal to 3. So the median is equal to 3. Now note, if the frequency is even, if the total frequency is even, then the median is the mean of half sigma f and half sigma f plus 1. Take note, if the frequency is even after adding the frequency, that is the total frequency. If the total frequency is even, then the median is the mean of half sigma f and half sigma f plus 1. Example, the ages, let's see how best we can solve this problem. The ages of 20 schools, the ages of 20 school children were recorded as follows. The ages of 20 school children were recorded as follows. You make a frequency table for the data using 9, 11, 13 in that order. Then use your table to calculate the mean age correct to the nearest whole number. Use your table to calculate the mean age correct to the nearest whole number. Now this is the data we are given. So we have 13, that is the ages. We have 13, we have 9, we have 15, we have 17, we have 11. Now 13 we have 1, 2. Age 9 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now with age 15 we have 1, 2, 3, 4. With age 17 we have 1, 2. And with age 13 we have 1, 2. Now with age 11 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are going to develop a table based on the data we have here according to the ages of the students. Now we have the table, we have the age, that is X. We have 9, 11, 13, 15, 19. These are the tally. We have the frequency and the fx. Now with the tally means, now when you go to the table, when we consider 9, we go back to the table and count, considering age 9. With 9, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So back to the table, we have the tally. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one is used to cross it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we use the fifth one to cross it. That means that the tally for age 9 is 5. So the frequency is 5. That's the number itself. Now we consider age 11. Let's go back to the data and count age 11. Now with age 11, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We use the fifth one to cross it. Then we start again. We have 6, 7. And the frequency is 7 as shown. Now with age 13, we go back to the table. Age 13, we have 1, 2. So the tally, we have 1, 2, and the frequency is 2. Now age 15, we go back to the table. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the frequency is 4. Now with age 17, we go back to the data. Age 17, we have 1, 2. And so 17, the tally, we have 1, 2, and the main frequency is 2. So we have the table, we have the age, we have the tally, we have the frequency. How do we find fx? The frequency, we multiply the frequency f by x. So 9 times 5 is equal to 45. 11 times 7 is equal to 77. 13 times 2 is equal to 26. 15 times 4 is equal to 60. 17 times 2 is equal to 34. So that is how we find fx. We multiply the frequency by the x. Now if you want to find summation f, that is you sum all the frequencies. So 5 plus 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, and the answer is 20. So summation f equals 20. Now how do we find summation fx? We have to sum all the fx values. So we have 45 plus 77 plus 26 plus 60 plus 34. So summation fx equals 242. Summation fx equals 242, and summation f give us 20. Now b, the mean. The mean from the table is equal to summation fx divided by summation f. And summation fx, we have 242 divided by summation f give us 20. So 242 divided by 20 is equal to 12.1. Now from the question, we are asked to correct the nearest whole number. And so the whole number is the 12 before the decimal point. The number after the decimal point is 1. And because it's less than 5, we ignore it. And therefore, the answer is 12. The answer is 12. So the mean from the table is equal to 12. This is the end of our presentation on statistics.